What is up, Dirt Tracks viewers? Luke here, bringing you guys another walk around video. Obviously this one is of Can-Am's 2019 Maverick XMR. This is a turbo. This is not a Turbo R. So this is the 120 horsepower 64-inch wide version, which I'm just going to say up front makes a heck of a lot more sense for the majority of people who intend to use this thing for multi-purposes like trail riding as well as running in the mud, because the 64-inch width is just so much more livable. 120 horsepower, you know, we all like 172, or I guess in 2020 we all like 190 something, but the reality is 120 is way more than enough to get anything done that you might ever need to do with your side-by-side. So, you know, this thing it hauls in the mud better than most. So let's take a quick look at what the Maverick XMR is made of. Obviously, as I said, 120 horsepower. It's the Ace architecture motor, the 3-cylinder that we've all come to know and love so much in both side-by-sides and Skidoo snowmobiles. Same basic motor. Now this vehicle, you know, Can-Am special edition vehicles recently have all been using versions of their Smart Lock auto-locking differential system, and the one we tested before, that I tested before, was the XRC with the rock crawling modes. Obviously the XMR doesn't need rock crawling modes, it has a mud mode. And if you just come right in the cab here, in the dash, doesn't want to focus for me, there we go. You can see that it's got 2x4 front diff lock, 2x4, 4x4, then front diff lock. And if you put it in the 4x4 mode, you have trail and mud. So it's pretty neat. Those are auto settings, or you can lock the diff with it in front diff lock. You can lock it solid on your own. But if you have it in trail or mud modes, it's going to do the thinking for you and unlock and lock as it deems necessary. And you know, with the XRC, we found this to be actually really accurate. When I was driving the XRC, I almost forgot that it was in rock crawling mode. My intention was to use it in multiple modes and see how they all were different, but I forgot that it was in rock crawl mode. And when I put it in full lock, it really didn't change how the vehicle went through the rocks at all. So I'm very curious to see how the mud mode works on this guy. Can-Am seems to have this down pat. It's in conjunction with Team Industries. Those guys know what they're doing big time and have got some pretty impressive technology behind them. So I think it'll probably work really, really good. Obviously, you know, XMRs from Can-Am always come with snorkels. This one has 4. 2 for the CVT, well actually 3 for the CVT, and 1 for the motor, which is pretty cool, and they look nice. I mean, you gotta admit, that's a pretty slick looking setup right there with color matched, you know, from inside. They look mean. Can-Am actually sort of brags about / advertises that because they're mounted right behind the driver's head, you get to hear the howl, the intake howl of the motor. Is that good or bad? I don't know. It's definitely loud though, there's no question about that. So there you go, no need to snorkel it. And if you're going to be running in crazy mud, you know, like if you're going to be up past your waist in mud while you're sitting in this thing, you're going to want those snorkels. So it's nice that they're included. Now, this vehicle has Can-Am's QRS-X clutches in the CVT, and they use a really, really big drive belt. Can-Am is saying that this drive belt is capable of handling pretty much anything you can throw at it, including the extra abuse that your vehicle is going to sustain in deep mud, high horsepower, high traction situations, like getting your vehicle buried in thick goo. So, you know, time will tell. So far we haven't heard any real reports of failures with this system. It seems to be pretty durable, so that's a good thing. And it's a nice upgrade that Can-Am isn't just leaving these vehicles alone, not doing anything extra. You know, they're actually, once they build an XMR, they continue to build on it and make it better and better to make sure that their customers get the best possible experience. And that's what they're doing with this guy. Because this is the non-R version, the 64-inch wide version, you're getting 18 inches of rear wheel travel. So you're not getting the crazy 24-inch rear wheel travel of the of the Turbo R version that's 72 inches wide. But you know, for this vehicle, as I said before, this is actually the version that makes the most sense for most people. So it's not a downside to me at all. I've jumped both types. In fact, the biggest air I've ever caught on a side-by-side was on an XDS Maverick, which is 64 wide and has the 18 inches of travel. And man, it soaked up that landing like nobody's business. So I'm not worried about that number at all. The other thing that this vehicle has, specific to mud running, and you can see it when I do this, is the arched lower arms. And arched arms just make sense. I don't know why all vehicles don't come with them. There's no downside to them. They don't not do something well. They just give you more. Now this is a point that I've made before. They don't give you more ground clearance officially. Rears are arched just a little bit as well, the rear lower control arms, as you can see. They don't give you a ton more ground clearance. What they do is increase the area of ground clearance. It's hard to explain, but basically it means that where your ground clearance is measured is always from the center of the underside of the vehicle, right in the middle, where you're going to get the highest amount of ground clearance. And typically what happens is as the arms, the A-arms, angle down from that center point of high ground clearance, of the highest ground clearance, immediately when you get to the arms and they're angled down towards the wheels, you lose ground clearance from that point on towards the wheels. But with this system, the ground clearance stays pretty much level all the way out to the wheel. So where before you might have only been able to fit, this thing has 14 inches of ground clearance, you could fit a 14-inch rock right under the center of the vehicle. Now you can fit that same rock all the way out to the tires. So, you know, it's a small point, but it has to be understood what arched A-arms actually do and why they're better. On a mud vehicle, they are almost a necessity, I think, these days. Now the tire package on here, these are 30-inch ITP Kryptide tires. And, you know, like they're an aggressive tire. There's no question about that. You can see the tread is super deep, super blocky, really aggressive. But it's not like, you know, the most aggressive mud tire. They are really stiff, so they don't really provide a great ride. They don't soak up the ground as well as your typical tire package on any other Maverick, say the XDS, for example. These ones are going to ride rougher, but they're a little more versatile than some of the more aggressive mud tires, and I think that that's a good thing, because realistically, a lot of people who buy this vehicle aren't going to just ride it in the mud. It's going to be a multi-purpose mud/trail vehicle. So having tires that can do both is a good thing. You can see it comes on Can-Am's nice set of machined aluminum Can-Am wheels that they provide. They're not bead locks, but you know, they're pretty sexy. And I think most people, step one when they buy a new vehicle, the first thing they think about doing is upgrading wheels anyway. So these may or may not stay on your vehicle, who knows? But if you want to keep them, they're nice looking. Anecdotally, I have a thought. Let's say you're just looking for a Maverick, 64-inch wide Maverick Turbo, okay? You're not looking necessarily to run mud all the time, but you know that your average trail is going to have mud in it. What's the first thing that most people do when they buy their trail vehicle? Well, the first thing they do is they put Snorkels on it, they put a winch on it, they buy a new set of wheels and tires or whatever they're going to do. With this vehicle, you don't have to do that stuff. So even if you're not going to use this strictly for mud, let's say you're going to use it just on muddy trails, you're better to buy this than you are to buy the regular XDS and put those extra parts on it. You're going to get better value with this thing. So, you know, and you get the extra mud setting and the auto locking differential. So that's a way to think about it, you know. These are things that most people do to their side-by-sides, whether they run mud or not. You put Snorkels on. This one also comes with a winch, as I mentioned. It's a 4,500 pound winch with synthetic cable. Comes with this, I don't know, funky looking front bumper. I'm not really sure what that would be for. Kind of gives it a snooty look to me. Front lower skid plate. It has skid plates all along the bottom of it as well. So, you know, these are things that you're going to want to add to your side-by-side no matter what, and they come on this vehicle. So that's a good thing. And I think it makes it worth upgrading to this over the base model if you can afford it on initial purchase. If you can't, then you can add these things later to your base model. But if you can afford the extra jing now, it's probably worth doing. Interior-wise, this vehicle's the same, you know, as other Mavericks. It's a comfortable interior for sure. There's lots and lots of legroom for driver and passenger. One point that I will make, you can see it better from this other side, is the passenger grab handles are crap. If there's one thing Can-Am needs to fix on this vehicle, it's passenger grab handles. You get the one on the door right over here, and then this little handle right, where's my finger? I can't see it in the camera. Where are you? Right there. That leaves you feeling so unbelievably exposed while you're trying to hold on. I mean, the one handle's on the door. The first thing that gets crunched when you flip a vehicle or when something bad happens is the door. I just think this is a very inferior setup to what else is out there. It's not the end of the world, and you know, I mean, we try and tell the absolute truth about everything that we review, including in walk-around videos. That's one that all Mavericks we've noticed that every passenger says, oh, I don't like this. So something to think about. Not something you can change necessarily, but it is something to consider. I like how the dashboard's integrated. You know, you got your switches are all factory switches when you buy this model. You got your sport eco modes over here, your override button. Everything is just so factory and slick. Decent gauge package, nothing fancy. This is the Can-Am version that they've been using for quite a while. It gets replaced next year with a much more fancy gauge. But this one gives you all the info you're going to need. Nothing more, nothing less. And it's fine, it works. Tilt steering, adjustable driver's seat, standard 3-point seat belts, not the more trick 4-point ones that they use on some of their vehicles like the XRC Turbo R. You do get the doors, the lower doors. Absolutely awesome. There is no excuse, in my opinion, for a side-by-side company of any kind, any brand, period, to build a super high-end, super expensive side-by-side that has the quarter doors in the middle, just these little pieces here, you know, in the middle, and not provide the lower door. That lower door is just a piece of plastic. It can't be worth anything. I guess in this one it actually has a metal frame. You can see in here that there's more to it than that there's actually a metal frame down there. But realistically, the amount of protection it provides, not just from mud, but from debris and other things, it should just be standard. It can't cost them that much when you're spending this kind of money. It should be standard. Shock-wise, you've got, I don't know if you can see them in there. You can't really see them. They're hidden away. Fox QS3s with your super simple to use, won't focus, 3-position adjuster here. Love these things. Love them. Easiest to use shocks in the industry, hands down. You don't get the piggybacks way up on the roll cage like you do with the 72-inch wide versions, but you still get easy to access rear shock adjustments from inside your cargo box area. You just reach around, good to go, 3 positions, nothing to think about. These are good shocks too. They're tough, super tough, and they're gonna last. You're not gonna have to worry about these things failing on you. So that's really the walk around for this vehicle for right now. I mean, we're going to be doing a test ride on it obviously really soon. I'm going out in the next couple days to actually film it. We've been riding this one quite a bit. Lots of good opinions on it that we want to share with you guys in the test ride. But for right now, you know, this is our initial walk around video introducing the vehicle, and basically just hoping you guys stay tuned. I hope you guys like these walk around videos. I hope you like that my dog gets featured in them. I can't help that. She eats the bugs while I film, so kudos to her. Anyway, we'll have more of these things coming up for you. Stay tuned to our YouTube channel. We always try and provide you guys with more and more content as time goes on. So stay tuned for more. Thanks for watching.
Make sure you click to subscribe for even more great content on our YouTube channel. Travel stories, test rides, modifications, you name it, we've got it.